There's been a lot of chatter in the gold community about China getting on a gold standard. Currently, China's central bank only has 1,054 tons of gold in its reserves, so is China actually buying gold? Joining me is George Milling-Stanley, Managing Director at the World Gold Council. So George, that's my question. Is China buying?
Nobody really knows, and China doesn't tell anybody. What they do is they've been buying periodically for a number of years now, and every once in a while they'll tell the world what they have done over a previous period. Like, for example, in 2009, they reported they'd added about 400 tons of gold to their reserves in the previous 6 years. We don't know when the next announcement will be coming. But that said, there are very strong flows of gold going into China right now, and there's a number of people in the market who wonder whether the private sector is capable of absorbing all of the gold that's flowing into the country. Nobody knows the answer. We'll find out when China is ready to tell us.
So China has its reserves in gold about 1.6%. Do you have any estimation of what they might raise it to if they were buying 3%, 2%? 100% just seems totally huge.
I don't think anybody would suggest 100%, probably not even me, and I'm a fairly optimistic person about gold. But I think that research suggests that a lot more than 1 point whatever it is percent right now would make sense for them. And certainly there's a lot of academic interest both in China and in the rest of the world that thinks they ought to own maybe somewhere in the around 10% or something of that kind. I think basically everybody's agreed they should have a lot more than they do have right now, especially given the level of their overexposure to the dollar. But what that level ultimately might be, nobody really knows.
So who else is buying, or who else will be buying then in 2011?
Well, Russia's already come out and said quite definitely that it plans to buy more than 100 tons in the coming 12 months. Logically, we would expect the Philippines to continue buying. They buy, sometimes they sell, but also they do continue to buy local gold production.
How supportive do you think this will be for gold prices? As supportive as we saw in 2009, 2010, early 2010?
Oh, look, I think that the thing that's supportive for gold prices in terms of central bank activity isn't so much what they do on the demand side. It's the fact that for 20 years, the official sector, central banks and multilateral institutions, were net sellers of somewhere between 400 and 500 metric tons of gold a year to the private sector. That period is over. They are now no longer on the supply side.
I'm going to wrap it up again with China. Do you think a gold standard would be feasible for them?
I think it's unlikely. I mean, my understanding is that if a country is a member of the IMF, then it is expressly forbidden from linking its currency to the gold to gold.
All right, George, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm Alex Steele for The Street.